But this reporter, now also, okay, he said, he was doing quotes. He said, this is a quote from Barack Obama, I want you to respond to it. And he would tell them the quote, and some people were like, oh, that's amazing, that's great. He said, well, actually, that was George Bush or Donald Trump that said that. No, it wasn't. They liked it because this person said it, not because what was in it. And that's what we do. We like stuff. We don't look at the substance of stuff. We look at the personalities of stuff. Does that make sense? We gotta be careful with that. I just thought that was kind of interesting. All right. Always call this the Santa Claus boot. See what? It's the Santa Claus boot. There's a little top. Baghdad. That's a funny word. Baghdad. All right. We've got a quiz tomorrow. We're going to take some notes today. I don't have any questions for you. We're going to take some notes today about the Revolution, about America. And then tomorrow we'll take a quiz. Friday, September 11th stuff. Monday review. And Tuesday, chance to do good. Be a test. All right. Wait till I don't have to wear this anywhere. I'll fall down and bust my head because I can't see in this. I can scratch stuff right here.
Sure, all doors closed down.
They're closed now.
It's still closed down today?
No, they just closed down for yesterday.
That's what I thought. There's 2 kids tested positive. They're siblings too. Well, we never sure if one sibling
I have no comment. That's what I said. I have no comment. Anyway, let me see. I'm gonna give y'all a review deal. Probably Friday. I'll give you a review. Okay. We already kind of established America can't win a war with England. Right? They're too good and we don't have anything. But they signed the Declaration of Independence. Those people, a third of the people wanted to go to war, a third didn't quit. And that's not a scientific, what I'm saying is, it was kind of split. We weren't united. There's a big split. Why? Why did they go to war? Okay, but why did they do that? They asked for war. There was one big reason, there's a bunch of little reasons. Because their rights as what? More than that. Well, maybe less than that. English citizens. And then human beings. They had, by law, they had rights, and it wasn't being recognized. That's what they were ticked about. And their rights as human beings. They said, it ain't worth being comfortable. It ain't worth living life and making money and having a job, and that's not, we know what it can be. We know what it's supposed to be, and it's not being like this. So we are willing to put everything on the line, life, their fortunes, and their sacred honor. They're willing to put all that on the line for this. That's the reason they went to war. Wasn't Patrick Henry, give me liberty or give me death? He meant that. He said, it ain't worth living if I can't live this way that I know exists and should exist. So that was the big reason. Now underneath that What were some of those rights? What were some of those small little things that was happening that they were protected about?
No taxation.
Taxations, taxes. Okay, the Stamp Act and the Tea Tax,
The martial law.
martial law. The big thing is this. They didn't go to war because of taxes or martial law, they went to war about the whole thing. This is the disease, these are the symptoms. Does that make sense? I told you, did I tell you about France yesterday? I make fun of France, but they know their ancestors, their grandparents knew what war is like, and they do anything to avoid it. The people who want to go to war have never been to war. People who talk about, yeah, we'd go for it. You ain't never been there. It ain't a movie. It's real. And I like to think I could do some things, but if bullets start flying, I'm probably just gonna crap my pants. And you know what I'm saying? I mean, I hadn't seen it. Any of y'all seen 1917? I hadn't seen it yet. I want to see it. It's pretty good.
It's very slow.
It's good.
But
It's all from
not
one
really that
angle, and I just follows them all the way through.
Or Saving Private Ryan. The first. Seeing that. If it was up to me, I don't think we'd be America anymore. I think I would just crap my pants and cry and suck my thumb, and I don't want to go out there. You know, I mean, I would hope I wouldn't. But that's when it gets real, and this was as real as it got. Because they had the choice, they're going to do this or not, and they did it. With not even a chance of winning. No chance of winning. All right, now let's look at how they win. Let's say some guy walks in the house. I'm not there. He's like 6'4", 240, and his waist is that big. So where's all the weight? Arms and legs. He's jacked. All right? And I walk in the door, and I see him slap Titan, and Titan goes flying, and then he punches little Christy. Now, do I have a chance against that guy?
No, you do.
Okay, what do you mean by that?
It's kind of like a 9mm slug.
I don't know.
I'm a man, I gotta be.
You have a reason.
Huh?
You have a reason.
Yeah, okay, right here. He doesn't have a reason. He's just being a jerk. I've got a reason. I've got a fire. So the number one reason they were able to win is they had a cause. They had something. They were fighting for something. They had motivation. Why were the British soldiers fighting? They had to. The American soldiers they had this. And they didn't have this. They had this. And so a lot of times that can take over this. So they had that cause they were fighting for. They had a belief. Also, home field. In the old days, back then, fighting was 3 lines of guys with guns and a guy on a horse with a sword. And the guy on the horse would say, "Forward! Retreat! Fire!" You know, he'd give them the orders. Right? He's usually white-haired. And the guys in front, when they heard fire, would go, "Pow!" And then they'd walk to the back. And the second guy, they'd start loading their gun. It took about a minute to load the gun. And then they would go, "Pow!" It was all orderly. And they had to train. Well, the Americans didn't have all that. But they knew the land.
Didn't they learn how to fight from the Indians?
They did guerrilla warfare, not guerrilla warfare. I'll misspell this. Guerrilla. That's misspelled. What that means is they hid in the caves and they ambushed them and they knew where the passes were. They cheated. right? They didn't fight the right way. How do you win a war? You win. You just win. Well, it's no fair, they cheated. Okay, but they won. All that matters is you kill more of those people and they give up. We have signed treaties with most countries against chemical warfare. Y'all learn about World War I and the mustard gas and the chlorine and the torture that did to people. And they said, most civilized countries said, we're not going to do this. Well, guess who didn't sign that treaty? Saddam Hussein. I don't know if China has. I don't think they have. And President Assad in Syria, who in y'all's time in high school used chemical weapons against his own people. That's a special kind of piece of crap. God doesn't specify pieces of crap. We're all a piece of crap to him. Human beings say, well, that guy's a worse piece of crap than me. And yes, Saddam Hussein and Assad was a worse piece of crap than me, because I would never use chlorine gas on people and watch it. Several years ago, I don't know, I never saw it, but some of the kids in here saw it on their phones. It showed the effects. And some of these in this Iraqi village, where these kids couldn't breathe. Little kids, they're trying to breathe and they can't because of the gas. They're strangling to death because of the gas. Not everybody signed that treaty. And what if we're fighting a war with Syria and they gas America? Not fair. If they win, who cares? You know? But anyway, we cheated. We snuck around, we hid, we ambushed. That's what guerrilla warfare is. And the second part of this, as they're fighting, they look over, they might see their church steeple. They might see their neighbor's farm. They might see their farm. Does that give them another little boost? They're actually defending their land. So that kind of goes in with that. And the last. And least. Usually here last, but not. This is last and least. I was in college. We'd go dancing every once in a while. We went to this new place. And Chaka, we call him Chaka because there's this old TV show called Land of the Lost. And there's a little tiny caveman guy, and he looked just like Chaka. So, what was his real name? Detlef. Carl Detlef. Yeah, looks like Chaka. He's dancing with this girl, and I'm sitting down, just watching, and this guy comes up and hits him with a chair. And I go, oh, no. Why am I ticked? Now I have to get up and get involved, and I do not want to get involved because I don't want to get hit. And even if you do hit, you might jack your hand. I don't want to get in on this because it's not going to be good. It's like, get up. And by the time I took a couple of steps, the owner, the manager, whatever, shut it down, kicked everybody out. Like, oh, good. I don't have to get involved in this. The French helped at the very end. This will tie in. So, did they win the war? Yes. No, they didn't win the war for us. They helped. We pushed the cart up to the top of the mountain, and they helped us get it over the top. We pushed it to the top. They did. I wasn't a part of it. I know Dallas is playing football this weekend. Nobody here is playing football. You won't hear me say, or if I do, I always correct it. If the Packers play, we didn't do anything. I am not a part of it. I didn't win anything. I don't play. I don't do anything. So it's they did. I didn't do anything. They pushed the cart up the mountain. The French helped us at the end push it over. Now, at the first, we asked France, hey, come help. Why wouldn't we ask France to come help? They hate the British. They hate each other. There's a rivalry, okay? They don't hate each other now, but Benjamin Franklin spent the whole war in France trying to get money and trying to get help. He was an old man by then. He couldn't fight anyway. French at first said, it's okay. We're good. Why'd they say no? Why do we want to go in there and throw men money and stuff and lose it? These yahoos, that love fighting 4 guys. I don't want to get in on that. They don't need any part of that. France didn't need any part of this. And at the end, they saw, oh well, they're not getting destroyed. Maybe we could show up, and their navy helped, and they helped us win the last couple battles. They probably could have done it without the French, but we'll never know. But held their own for 3.5 quarters. The Americans played ball, and the French came in the last half the quarter. So, and how do we repay the French? What happened right after American Revolution? French said, "Look at this. Let's do this." They cut the king's head off, and so way to go, King. Yeah, good job. All right, everybody cool? Everybody cool there? On the chance to do good, I will ask. Give me the reasons why the Americans won. This is not the reason. Okay, there's the reason, and then this one. This, I have to tell you that because that's true. Even if I hate Trump, I have to say that guy said he did a good job on that. You gotta be able to admit when someone you hate does something okay. Or if you don't agree with them, you gotta be mature enough to say, okay, yeah, this was stupid they did, or that person I really hate, they did a good job there. I didn't agree with a lot of Barack Obama's policies because he's a socialist, he's very liberal, I'm very conservative. I came to class one day and said, I just want to tell you something that Barack Obama did right. He got this right. He vetoed a bill. This bill gave Americans the right to sue foreign countries if, like they could sue Iran if a terrorist thing happened in America. And he said no, and I said, thank you. Good job, President Obama. How many of y'all think I'm an idiot? Honestly. I think it's that was one of the few things in my life that Congress overrode a presidential veto. It was almost unanimous. That's the dumbest thing I've ever heard of. It was election year, which is why it passed. Let's say I sue Iran. Okay? Some Iranian guy blows something up, kills little Christy, and so I sue Iran. Are they going to show up? No. No. Nothing's going to happen. What? If I'm going to sue Bin Laden. I'm sure he was really scared about that. That didn't do any good. President Obama said this doesn't do any good. Why did we do this? Why did Congress pass that? Look what we did. We gave you the right to sue a terrorist country. That's like saying I gave you the right to, to breathe underwater. I have the right to breathe underwater. Okay, great. Go ahead. Try it. See what happens. You've had that dream like you can do it. I'll wake up. I'm like, you know what? I can do that. No, you can't. You can't breathe underwater. You can't sue Iran. I mean, they're not going to show. Where are you going to sue them at? What court? And they're like, oh, no, we have to go. We have to leave now. We must go. We are being sued. We have to go. And they're not going to show up. All right. There you go. Okay, they win the war. What kind of government do they have? Good or bad? It's weak. It can't do the job. The car without a engine. And they realize as they go on, we can't do this anymore. This ain't working. So they've got to redo the government. There were 2 sides. There's always 2 sides. There's factions within those 2 sides, but we've always had 2 sides. We've got Republicans and Democrats, we've got conservatives, liberals. Back then they had Federalists and what? Y'all heard of this before. 8th grade, y'all learned this. Anti-Federalists. That's real complicated, isn't it? The Federalists and the Anti-Federalists. We are against the Federalists. We're not against Federalists. So Federalists, Anti-Federalists. Just looking at that. I know, slips and saying, You a bigger person, learn stuff. You know, don't just forget crap. Then you're an idiot. Right? If you don't know anything, you're an idiot. You ought to know some stuff. Federalists. What did they want? Where have you heard federal before?
They wanted the government to use.
They want a strong federal government. Okay? Now, they didn't want a guerrilla federal government. They just want a stronger federal government. They want a light middleweight. They didn't want a heavyweight. They want a light middleweight. They just want something they want a car with an engine that can do something. They want a go-kart at least. They didn't want a monster truck. All right? So when I say they wanted a strong federal government, they didn't want communism. They just wanted a government that could do some stuff. What the anti-federalists want? They wanted states to be strong. They wanted a weak central government. They liked the idea of confederates, a confederation. They liked the Articles of Federation. They just wanted to tweak it a little bit, put a little nitro in the, or maybe I guess I don't know what kind of engine. You can't put nitro in a no engine. Who's that? What's up?
They want to add more pedal for the pedal back.
Yeah. It's okay. You're allowed to call. Oh, I said no. Oh my gosh, that's the wrong thing. You're allowed to call. The Federalists were led by Alexander Hamilton. He was kind of like George Washington's right-hand guy. He was from the North. He was a banker. He got into banking, and he understood for business, you need a relatively strong government to regulate stuff to help business to go. You know what I'm saying? You needed a strong government. Federalists were mainly from the North. They had a manufacturing industry type economy. The anti-federalists were led by Thomas Jefferson. That's a pretty big name. Yeah. Some of y'all might have heard of Alexander Hamilton. Thomas Jefferson, oh, they got first round draft pick there. Mainly from the South. Where was Thomas Jefferson from? Virginia. What kind of economy did the South have? Agricultural. Okay. Do you need a lot of government interference? No. Agricultural. You just want to be left alone. I got work to do, leave me alone, let me go do it. Hope it rains. Hope bugs don't show up and everything's fine. So they didn't need a strong, big federal government. They didn't see the need for it. Now this does not mean everybody in the South was anti-federalist and everybody in the North was a federalist. But it kind of was like that. When they wrote the Constitution, the Federalists were the ones that wrote the Constitution and wanted the Constitution because it strengthened the federal government. The anti-federalists didn't want it. They eventually went for it when what was added? What's that? Bill of Rights. So the anti-federalists were semi-okay with the Constitution, with the Bill of Rights. The Federalists wrote the Constitution. Now, I've oversimplified this. There's a whole lot more to it, but I guess if you go to college someday, if you want to study this, you can do that. But for us, that's good enough. So you have the Federalists, the Anti-Federalists. Anti-Federalists were against a strong federal government. They wanted strong states. The Federalists wanted a strong federal government. That's pretty easy, isn't it? Go. Last thing. Semi-funny story. When they were doing the Constitution, they were figuring out representation. for Congress in the legislature. And you had two plans. The Virginia plan and the New Jersey plan. Tell me a difference between Virginia and New Jersey. Virginia's big. A lot of population. Now, New Jersey has a lot of population today, but back then it didn't. So, Virginia, big. A lot of population, a lot of people, a lot of population. New Jersey, small. Small population. What do you think Virginia wanted for representation? Did they want the one vote per state like the Articles of Confederation had? No. What would Virginia want? They wanted based on population. That if you have more people, you should have more representatives. Is that fair? Yes. That's why I got House of Representatives up there. It's fair. House of Representatives is based on how many people you got. If you have more people, you have more representatives. If you have less people, you have less representatives. So they wanted population-based representation. Is that horrible? No. I mean, that's right. That's true. That's good. That's fair. What do you think New Jersey wanted? They wanted every state to have equal representation. Now, I told you this is fair. Is there an argument for every state having a say-so? Let's say Wyoming. All right, Wyoming's beautiful. Wyoming has one representative because they ain't got no people. They have 2 senators, 1 representative. If America wanted to, they could say, hey, we're going to go to Wyoming, we're just going to strip mine the whole place because we want to do that. You know, yay! And then Wyoming's like, oh, wait, no, you can't. Oh, we got more people. I don't want states railroaded, small states railroaded by the big states. So I see their point where we should have a voice also. This literally started a fight. I think people started punching and throwing crap, and people left, said, this is it, we're leaving, we're not. So the country almost fell apart before it started. I don't know if this is true, but I met a guy from Connecticut. When I think of Connecticut, I don't think of a tough guy. Who knows? If you meet somebody with a British accent, if I'm talking to somebody with a British accent, in the back of my mind, I'm thinking, I could beat the crap out of this guy. But maybe you can't. Who knows? You really don't know until the fists start flying, right? You don't know. This guy might sound like me, but he might beat the crap out of you. You're like, whoa, okay. So it's always imagine this little weasel guy from Connecticut. Excuse me. You know, stuff flying around. Excuse me! And then they finally just stop. What's this guy doing? This guy from Connecticut. I assume it's Roger Sherman. I don't know. He was the fancy guy from Connecticut. He said, why don't we do both? We don't have to pick one. Let's do both. Anybody know what that's called? Fancy night? No, not that one. That was the dumb one. This was the Connecticut. This is kind of like the Federalists and Anti-Federalists. Connecticut Compromise. Ooh. The Connecticut Compromise was, let's do both. Let's have the House of Representatives. And let's have the Senate. And everything goes through both of them. That way, the small states have their voice. Everybody in America has their voice. They have to work together, and everything comes through both of them. And that really kind of saved the country. So instead of fighting over this, that's kind of Yes. Everybody was looking at the butt of the horse. He looked at the front of it. Said, hey, there's a face here. You know, you don't have to have the butt. Does that make sense? Connecticut Compromise combined the Virginia plan and the New Jersey plan, the House and the Senate. And the House of Representatives is fair. Right? Okay. Way to go. All right. Is everybody okay? Everybody's hands okay? You getting in better shape now? Okay, good. Good. They had to be uncomfortable. I'll leave this on. It's not good, but I'm so glad he lived in. All the clothes and no fans and no air conditioning, and then in Philadelphia in the summer, and you got tights on and you got coats on and a wig on, and that'd be awful. That'd be horrible. The good thing is everybody stunk and nobody cared because everybody stunk.